Ladies and gentlemen, we now have our presenters in conference. Participation in this presentation is by express written invitation of the AHA only. Unauthorized participants and/or any party that aids and abets such unauthorized participants may be subject to criminal and civil penalties under both state and federal law. Please disconnect from the call or log off of the webinar if the AHA did not expressly invite your participation. It is now my pleasure to turn the call over to Mr. Suncow. Sir, please begin.
Thank you, Chelsea. Happy Facility and Engineering in Healthcare Facility Week for everybody. Thank you for participating in today's time-saving tools and resources webinar. Before we start, there's a few housekeeping items before. Today's participant will earn 1 contact hour. The webinar will be recorded and posted to ASHE on-demand learning page. All participant lines are muted. If you have a question during the webinar, please type your question in the chat box, and we will take your question during the webinar or at the end of the webinar. Today's speakers are Chad Beebe, Deputy Executive Director of ASHE, Christine Corbett, ASHE Senior Instructional Designer and Technologist. Chad, would you like us to start us off?
All right, thank you, Sun. Well, welcome everybody, and as Sun said, happy Facilities and Engineering Week. Today our webinar's purpose is really to show you some of the latest tools and resources that we have made available to ASHE members. The intent is to help educate you and elevate your team. So all of these tips and tools and resources you'll see today were developed with you, the busy facility manager, in mind. So after many requests from members to help provide tools that could help make their job easier and to help ensure there's consistency from one facility to another, we identified many ASHE products that could help members in this. So all these tips, tools, and resources really have been developed directly for you, and feel free to utilize these and let us know how you're using some of our tools and resources. We like to hear some of these tools are being used in creative ways. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. I'll have Christine start us out. We're talking about on-demand videos and our quick training. Christine?
Thank you, Chad. We're going to start with some useful education products that are part of a line of resources, as Chad said, that are free to ASHE members, our on-demand and our quick training. You'll see the website link. They will be posted at the end of the webinar as well, so don't worry about writing those down quickly. So let's get started. This is our on-demand page. Through a generous contribution from Dude Solutions, we are able to maintain and provide a large library of previously recorded sessions and webinars. As you can see on this page, these are organized by a variety of subject areas for convenient topic searching. In our featured section, which you'll see here, we offer videos that can be viewed to obtain continuing education credits. I'd like to highlight for you our quick training session. This is another section of our on-demand library. These courses are designed as short introductions to inspection, testing, and maintenance of a specific system. As you can see, this is a member benefit that can be shared with your team members, even if they are not ASHE members, by using the link that is provided on this page. In turn, each learner must register for the course, which includes 20 to 30 minutes of content, and then they must take a test to receive a certificate of completion. I'd like to highlight for you some of the features of our quick training courses. I'm going to show you a series of video clips. So you'll hear me speak, and then I will show you some clips and explain to you what these clips mean. First, I'm going to show you how our quick training courses are responsive to a variety of different formats.
Click the Start button to begin.
Let's try that again so you can see the whole thing.
Welcome to the ASHE Quick Training Fire Extinguisher e-learning course. In this course, you will learn about fire extinguisher inspection for compliance based on NFPA 10 standard for portable fire extinguishers, 2010 edition. Click the Start button to begin.
So as you can see, these courses are designed for a variety of different mobile devices, and they are mobile ready for you. This next clip will show you some of the animations that we have in place. We have put together some animations on specific systems, how they work, or steps to inspection. And this clip will show you how those animations work.
You will see the animation of a wet pipe system. The system contains water at all times, and the water discharges immediately when the sprinkler activates. The clapper is down in the wet system. When heat activates automatic sprinkler, water runs through pipes. Clapper lifts, water runs into alarm line or valve. Water travels further in alarm line and fills the retard chamber. Water travels past the chamber to water motor alarm, and the water flow activates the alarm. Water flowing through the trim piping activates the alarm while water is flowing through the piping to open sprinklers.
In addition, we have used some acronyms and we've used some acronyms and recognizable images to reinforce some of the concepts for each of our quick training courses. Here's an example of using both acronyms and some of our images.
The PASS acronym helps users remember how to operate an extinguisher. PASS. P. Pull the safety pin from handle. A. Aim nozzle at base of fire. S. Squeeze handle. S. Sweep spray back and forth across target. Various agents are used to extinguish fires.
You'll see an example.
Common types include the following. Multi-purpose dry chemical extinguishes fire by creating a barrier between oxygen and fuel elements of fire triangle for use on Class A, B, and...
So again, using the fire triangle as a very recognizable image to reinforce the concepts in our training. And finally, what you'll see in all of our quick training courses are some knowledge checks.
Drag each description to match the image and click Submit.
So the learner is presented content, and then we reinforce it with some knowledge checks where they have to interact with the course to reinforce the learning. So just to quickly recap for you some of the features of our quick training include a responsive to both desktop, tablet, and mobile devices. We include animations on how specific systems work. We use familiar acronyms and images to reinforce the concepts. And we have interactive knowledge checks throughout the course. Finally, all of our quick training courses include some resources. They have things like tip sheets that are downloadable that the learner can then take with them and use for future reference. We have maintenance, inspection, and testing logs, field identification clues, and several different types of checklists. that the learner can take with them. I'd like to show you another tool that we have in our on-demand system, and that is our ASHE Arcade. This is also in the on-demand as a section in our on-demand library. And the ASHE Arcade is designed to give you some games that you could use to play with your team. These are games that we've created and were hosted at our annual and PDC conferences. And we've had some feedback that these have been great learning activities for groups. So they can be played directly from the ASHE website. You do not have to register for them. And I'd like to take you through some examples of the games that we have. I'm going to take you through a series of videos that will show you how these games work. The first one is the Hangman infection prevention game. I'm going to show you a clip of this. In this, it's based on the Hangman principle, and the learner, or learners, your group, must fill in the word that's missing, one letter at a time. Should you get one wrong, one of the strings breaks, and you would eventually, if you made 6 errors, fall into the infection-infested water. In this example, the learner, you can take your learners back. These games can be played multiple times until your team is able to answer all of the questions correctly. Another example of a team-based game is one that's scenario-based. In this example, you'll be presented with a scenario, and then your learners have to answer the question by beating the timer on the clock. So here they must whack the correct answer before the time runs out. Finally, we do have an interactive, learner-specific game for testing your code knowledge. In this example, the learner must answer all of these code knowledge questions in the 13 rooms, and once they complete that, they will earn continuing education credits. Here's an example of what some of the questions look like.
You have entered Code Room NFPA 10, 2010 edition, standard for portable fire extinguishers. Carefully read each question and choose the correct answer. Remember, you must score 70% or higher to unlock this room. Select the Start button to begin. Sorry, that's incorrect. The maximum travel distance to a fire extinguisher for a Class A hazard, ordinary combustibles, is 75 feet. Reference NFPA 10, 2010 edition, Table 6.2.1.1.
So again, just to recap for you, what you can find in our ASHE Arcade are some of our games. We have games that can be played as a group, and this one is about infection prevention. We also have scenario-based games, also good to be played as a group. And finally, this is an individual game. Special thanks to Koffel and Associates for their generous contributions so that we can bring Test Your Code knowledge to our members for free. And that concludes some of the games and courses that we have in our on-demand library. Chad, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Christine. Yes, a lot of really good tools that we're providing there, and I encourage everybody to take advantage of those. And if you have ideas or thoughts about what you'd like to see in the future, feel free to reach out to either me or anybody in ASHE. Just to let us know what you're looking for, or how you're using them. If you are finding them beneficial, we'd love to hear the feedback. I wanted to talk a little bit about another tool that we have. It's our My ASHE. If you're not already utilizing My ASHE, I recommend that you start taking a look at it and see how you can use it. And here's some tips on what you can do to use My ASHE. First, to get to My ASHE, it's easy to get to it from our website. Look using the My ASHE logo at the top. But I suggest the easiest way to get to it is to bookmark my.ashe.org/home and get to it through that. There's always a lot of questions and discussion that's going on My ASHE, all good information, and we see this as a great opportunity for some team building and team exercises if you're having weekly or monthly meetings to take a look at some of the top My ASHE threads. Or maybe you actually put it out to your team and say, hey, if you've got questions, maybe we get together and talk about the questions that everybody has, and we vote on the top question, and we post it to My ASHE. I know a couple of hospitals that are doing this, and they seem to find that it's very valuable. It gets their team engaged in trying to come up with the questions, because everybody does have questions, but not everybody's comfortable always asking them. But it gets them to that level of comfort to discuss that in that team setting. So they've found that to be very valuable. But also everything that's on here, as you see here, the latest discussions, is something that's going on and is kind of a hot topic of the moment. I'd also say that our staff does look at these, and we do have some background stuff that's going on behind the scenes here, where we're actually taking a look to see what is the top the hot topics, and we do utilize that information to develop more resources. And we also share that through articles in either HFM Magazine or our weekly e-newsletter. And we let people know that, what the answers are, what the discussion was that occurred online. And we try to let that discussion go as long as and open as possible. So we get all that information out there from all the different points of view. We also utilize that information in our advocacy efforts. We take a look at that periodically to see what areas have the most discussion, and we try to do a little bit of a root cause to try to figure out, why is there so much discussion? Is it the way the code's written, and is it the way it's being interpreted? Is it maybe not being interpreted the way it was intended by the code committee? And we take that information back to those code committees, and often in the form of a proposal or a public input. So it's a very valuable tool. You can utilize this as a team. If you are registered, you haven't actually used it, I'd suggest you go in and actually fill out your profile to get the most out of it. Going up to the right-hand corner and clicking the little count options from the pull down, you'll be able to go in and fill out your basic information. And then you can also manage the way you receive notifications. If you're like me, you get a lot of emails. Some you might classify as maybe white noise after a while. You want to try to limit that as much as possible. I would highly recommend that you set it up to make sure that it's only giving you a daily digest of information. You can do that through these notification settings on this screen. That way you get kind of a high-level view of all the discussion that's been happening that day, and you can share that with your team as well. You get that delivered to your email box. So I think that's a very handy way to utilize that information. As I mentioned, if you and your team get together and you guys want to ask a question, or if you have a question yourself, feel free to use my ASHE and go on here and pose that question in the My Community. Just go to the ASHE all-member community and start a conversation, or respond to the conversation threads or ask more questions on the conversation threads that are actually occurring in my ASHE. The other nice thing is that you can post and reply via email to my ASHE. So if you don't feel comfortable in the actual my ASHE platform and just want to do it through email, you can also do that. So you can post or reply to discussions right from your email digest by clicking on any of the headers that are sent to you. And that's very useful to just do quick answers or pose new questions as well. So it's another good tip. The other part, and you'll find this in the platform of my ASHE, are the survey tips. If you've noticed those going out, either in social media or just on my ASHE if you have been involved, we've been posting a number of compliance tips of the month. And all these tips are generated from my ASHE content. As I mentioned earlier, we take a look at what people are talking about, and sometimes we'll look up the answers and get some interpretations, maybe from whether it's from Joint Commission or CMS, and we will post those in the compliance tip of the month. We have also gotten a lot of these actually from life safety surveyors that have reached out to us and said, these are some of the things that they're seeing on their survey. We also work very closely with Joint Commission, and we get a lot of information about what they're surveying from them, and we post the tidbits in this compliance tip of the month. We actually have, if you go to this to my ASHE, you can get to all of the survey tips that have been posted, and you can go through those. I understand a lot of facilities are utilizing these tips and doing a team meeting and looking at 2 or 3 of these each time, and it's been very valuable for the teams to see some of these things that maybe they just need a reminder that that's something that they have to keep on top of. The other thing I think it helps a lot with really kind of scripting the entire team, letting them know, what does the rule say? Not everybody has the rule book in front of them. You're going to get surveyed at some point, and a surveyor can ask about any one of these, and I would say there's a high probability that any one of these survey tips you're going to get asked about, because they do come from a lot of the surveyors. And if that is the case, then hopefully all of your team has that information. Matter of fact, I would probably say it might be a good idea to have somebody have my ASHE tips up on their cell phone if you have a survey going on, just so that you can real quickly look to see what the survey tip is around that. And you can search these survey tips to see if the topic is brought up. We do give you the code reference for all of these, so you can go back to the NFPA code and look at that, and you can also identify if they have annex information, which might explain it even better. You see the little star, if you can see that on your screen, on this particular tip. You can go back to the code and look at the annex information and actually get quite a bit more information about the survey tip. The next resource I wanted to talk about is our worker certification. It's a new certification that we've brought forward. And I think a lot of people have asked what started this, why did we decide to get into certifying workers, and really what is a worker certification. The goal of the worker certification is that anybody that crosses the threshold of a healthcare facility to touch the physical environment of a healthcare facility should really have this worker certification. And this came at the request of many members, always asking, how do we get some consistency in that first day overview of what's different about working in healthcare? If it's somebody that's coming in to lay carpet, or someone coming in to do sheetrock work, or maybe just to install new furniture, they need to understand why healthcare is different than any other occupancy. A number of years ago, we actually created a certification, the Certified Healthcare Contractor Certification. The whole reason why we did that was to help reduce hospital-acquired infections. At the time, we had the 100,000 Lives campaign, and happy to say that we've actually done a pretty good job as an industry, and we've reduced that according to the CDC now. And we still believe that there's room to improve. And one of the things that we weren't capturing with the CHC was we were getting the superintendents of construction projects into general contractors, and oftentimes we were getting the one guy that sits in an office somewhere in Phoenix who had the CHC and was required to have a CHC to get the project, but the project is actually in Philadelphia, and he never actually steps foot on site, but he has a CHC. We want to make sure that those guys that were actually on the site have an opportunity to have some sort of exposure to things like ICRAs and PICRA shutdown procedures and all of that. So that's why we created this certification. We hope that it really helps ease your job and make it a lot easier just to identify who has knowledge of these different concepts. So you actually do get an ID card with a photo on it, and it lets you know that somebody's certified. They could show that to you when they enter the building. You can ask to see their CHC if you decide to implement this as a requirement for any of your vendors and contractors. They also get a logo for or sticker for their hard hat. That also helps. We only give those out to those that receive the certification, and they do have a year of expiration on those stickers, so they will expire with their sticker as well. All these things are just to try to make things a little bit easier for facility managers when you've got so much stuff going on in your facility, so many people coming and going. It's hard to keep track of who you've actually sat down with and said, look, this is what you need to know before you walk into this healthcare facility. I know several hospitals have spent tons and tons of money developing programs for like some sort of orientation. And we hope that this either complements that orientation by maybe sending them through sitting them through your orientation and asking them to go ahead and take this exam. The exam is really easy to get to. It's actually available 24/7 online. You're able to take it for $50. And if you achieve a passing score, you enter in the information to get your badge and your hard hat sticker. So we highly recommend that you include it in your bid specifications, and we've actually provided some language that many states have already kind of caught on to this and said, you know, this is a good program, and we want to make sure that everybody is using this. So a lot of the chapters have kind of adopted this as I guess a mantra that they're asking all of their hospitals to change their bid specs and make sure that they have both a CHC and what we call a worker certification in their bid specs and in their facilities. We also have a couple of resources that are available to help people prepare for the exam. The Working in Healthcare Handbook, which is available in our ASHE store, covers all the content that's going to be in the test. I'll give you the little secret is that everything that is in the test came from this publication. So if somebody understands this book, they will be able to pass that test. And another program, we've worked very closely with our good friends at the Kentucky Society of Healthcare Engineering, and they have a program that is a healthcare facilities orientation and safety training called Safe Day 1. It's an online training program. We highly recommend that those that are seeking certification take a look at this program. This program does go a little bit further than what is expected on the exam. This actually does get into some of the OSHA requirements, and it's a really good program. And I think anybody that is looking at doing healthcare for projects for any long period of time, or you have any specialty in healthcare, they should really have all of their staff trained up on Safe Day 1. If you have any questions about Safe Day 1, I'd highly recommend you take a look at the Safe Day 1 website. You can get a link to that from our website. And reach out to the Kentucky chapter if you're with an ASHE chapter. They would be willing to work with you on setting this up as a program that you can have within your chapter to share with all of your attendees. All of the tools that we mentioned here are available on our website, and here's a couple of links for you to take a look at, maybe jot down or try it out. Hopefully some of you have actually even gone to the website already, taking a look at some of these ASHE tools, our on-demand videos, and our education courses. I do want to tell you that our education programs next year, we are looking at a pretty aggressive schedule for all of our education. I encourage you to take a look at that as soon as we release that. You'll be seeing that come out in ASHE News here soon. That education schedule, you'll see a lot of our programs on a routine, so you'll be able to plan for it plenty of time in advance to be able to attend wherever the location is. We're looking at a couple of different locations across the U.S. to provide that. We're trying to balance that to either with chapter programs, either to be a part of chapter programs or to at least not compete with chapter programs. And we will have a number of offerings right in Chicago within our offices. Those programs are usually one-day programs that will be in our offices, and those will be on a cycle so that you can, again, plan plenty of time in advance to attend those. With that, we actually really kind of breezed through all of these tools and resources, so I don't see any questions here in the chat. If somebody does have a question, please feel free to put that out there. And as I mentioned, take a look at these tools and resources, try them out within your facilities. If you have any suggested improvements, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know. Christine, I'll ask if you have anything you wanted to add to...
I don't. I think we covered everything as it relates to the on-demand and the quick training. Again, they are member benefits, as you had said earlier. They are free to members, and all the quick training courses are available to non-members as well.
All right. Well, with that, I think we will end this webinar. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and again, happy Facility and Engineering Week.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's teleconference. You may now disconnect and log off of the webinar. Please enjoy the rest of your day.